What's up, guys? It's Nicholas here, giving you your week 3 Kickstarter update. Just wanted to go over a few things in which I learned and followed up with on week 3. The first was I followed up with a newspaper ad that I really was thinking was going to come through for me. It was something that I had been discussing for even before I launched the Kickstarter. Had been talking back and forth with this newspaper, about putting my ad in the paper, which they did with a previous book of mine, and it was very successful doing it that way prior. So I was like expecting the same thing in that regard, because social media can only get out so far. If you're looking at your analytics as far as when it comes to Facebook, Instagram, or whatever other social platform, your engagement is really shrinking unless you're doing paid for ads, and who's to say that those ads are even going to real people? You don't know if you're dealing with bots or how that goes up. Of course you want to think that those companies are being honest, but in business, who knows. So I was reaching out to the newspaper ad. We have been going, everything was looking like it was on the up and up. They were getting ready to post it. And when I sent them the link, keep in mind I had already effectively communicated that this was a book that I was in progress of making. So I don't think it was a sense of me trying to be deceiving, because I know how to bring a book to life. This would be like my third book up under my name, but I use other aliases or pen names for other books and things of that nature. But I know how to make a book come to life. They've seen the quality of the books that I bring to life. So, it should have been no big issue. And it's no hard feelings. There's no hard feelings towards them about it. But anyway, the last minute they said that they couldn't post my book in the newspaper because they don't do fundraisers. And man, that kind of hit me, because I couldn't counter it. And I've been in sales before. I know how sales work. I've been top notch when it comes to sales. I worked at a few sales companies before where I broke store records. So I know how to counter a negative response to something, right? I know how to make that no turn into a yes. But in this case, they kept calling it a fundraiser. And no matter how I worded it, as far as stating that this is pre-ordering my book, when you click on the link to go to Kickstarter, it actually says it at the bottom. I think it says something in regards to fundraising. So it was hard for me to say, oh, this isn't a fundraiser, this is just pre-ordering my book. But that was one of the issues that I ran into. But I think it was a good thing, because, well, it was a bad thing, but I think it was a good thing because just in case of the communication, because another thing that I've been going and dealing with, as I stated on the first video, is the communication and are effectively communicating how to back a campaign. I'm dealing with people that in my support group that have never dealt with Kickstarter, the majority of them. So when I say back a campaign, even when I posted a video to show them, hey, you go here, you click here, it's still, the attention span that we have now is we're so used to that one click thing, right? From what I've seen, when it's time to do something new. So I think it kind of may have been a good thing for that, because let's just say I got all the way up to, I think my goal was like 8,500. If I got all the way up to 7,000 and I wasn't able to pay out anybody, right? Not pay out, excuse me. I wasn't able to deliver the book on the final, when it's time to deliver, because, we didn't meet the goal. People wouldn't understand that, because in their mind they paid for it. When in actuality, even after you back a campaign, it tells you when you will be charged once the campaign is successful. But like I said, it's like if you don't see something or do it constantly, you're not going to know the rules of engagement when you're dealing with those types of things. So that was one of my issues. The other issue was something that I wasn't expecting came about, where an opportunity to do a radio interview, a quick radio interview to bring light to my anti-bullying campaign, which was what my book was about. it was last minute. I got an alert on my phone, and when I finally checked it and responded like, yeah, we can do it. Just let me know where to respond to, like where to contact you so we can have the interview. It was crickets. It was like crickets. Like, who would contact somebody? And granted, maybe they didn't get the message. I don't know, but who would contact somebody about something like that and then not pursue it? Not to mention the numbers that they had went to like a weird voicemail. So I don't even know if that was a bot situation. Once again, I'm not blaming anybody. It could have just been a lack of communication. Another thing, so when you're doing any type of promotions, one of the success, well, one of the ways that you hear a lot of people say about success, right? They say go to the social media platform, putting whatever you're working on, or finding your niche and putting whatever fits that niche into the group, right? So for me, my book was about bullying, which I ended up finding parenting groups, bullying groups on both Facebook, I think Instagram, and even Reddit. And I reached out to the admins because they have it now where everything has to be approved before you can post it into a group. So I reach out to the admins and say, hey, I got a book on the way that I would love for you to look into. For example, this isn't verbatim, but I would love for you to look into to see if it was something that would fit your audience. Now, before I did that, I was interacting in the group because I know you have to give more than you take, right? I didn't want it to look like it was a money play because it wasn't. I really do feel like reading this book would be inspiring to kids to know, like, bullying, you can overcome it in so many words. But anyway, I digress. So I reached out to the admins and asked for approval, and I never would get a response. I reached out to several admins, and then when I finally did get a response, it was the same thing. We don't promote, or either they don't do fundraisers, even the free, which was surprising. The groups that don't benefit from sharing like books, like book groups, right? They don't benefit from sharing those groups, in which at least I assumed they didn't benefit from it. But they wouldn't even post anything about my book. Maybe it was more so because of Kickstarter's, the way I presented. Keep in mind, these are all my personal experiences. These have nothing to do with what you may or may not go through, but this is just my personal experience. But maybe it has something to do with how I presented Kickstarter, because I wanted to be my Kickstarter campaign, because I try to be as transparent as possible. The book was 95% done before I put it in production, but I just wanted it to be bigger than the book. I wanted it to be a community built around the book, where all the kids can see that, the more they see the No Bully Allowed bracelets that, I have here, the No Bully Allowed bracelets, they would realize as a community that they're not alone. And then strengthen numbers, as with everything. The more people you see that's with the same mindset of you, you're not feeling alone, and you feel like you can go to them and talk, even if you're going through bullying or whatever type of adversity. You're a community. You're stronger together, right? So even with me I couldn't even counter to that information, because it was almost like the door slam. Like, no, we don't do promotions in here, regardless of. I'm giving them the spiel of what's in the book, but not trying to be so long-winded, because once again, the attention span that we all have, a lot of people are not going to read multiple paragraphs of me trying to explain my case. So I just try to put like quick bullet points or whatever I was dealing with, but I stopped getting response. So that was weird, which led me to really think about the way I presented the Kickstarter video. And I was thinking about, maybe it was an issue with my tone, because I made the video kind of bubbly to grab attention of the audience, whereas the subject matter of bullying is more serious. So I was wondering if that was the big issue that I was dealing with, where I just didn't really understand my audience, of how I should have delivered what I had to an audience. It's kind of like having a great idea but presenting it in the wrong way, and that's kind of like where I'm kind of at right now. As we stand right now, I want to say we 56% funded, and I think I have a few more days left in the Kickstarter campaign. But so that's the gist of my week 3. It was a newspaper letdown. Not blaming anybody. I understand business is business. It was the social media groups with the lack of response. So maybe I just was in the wrong ones, but I was in several of them. All right, guys, that wraps up my week 3 recap. Thank you for watching. Peace.